1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we, here are we, here are we, here. Yes. Gosh. Hello and happy Thanksgiving. I am here. I am live. You're not here, but you could be here if you want to be here. I am here as far as I am concerned. Let's do this. Last stream, I ended it was ended at a terrible point. At a terrible point, it ended. Okay, I did not like that. Can we prevent from that happening again? Let's hope so. I really hope that we can prevent that from happening. And this is Thanksgiving evening. We're going live, whether the YouTube or the Wi-Fi or whatever does not want me to for some reason. Whatever the it could be that the will of the mill, the people who have, maybe it might be the people who still have the trademark of the will of the mill. I highly doubt it, but. And maybe Robert Louis Stevenson still has family that's like, oh, hey, trademark? Yeah, let's prevent it. Prevent anybody? No. As far as I'm concerned, no, forget it. I don't care. I don't care. This is public. This story is supposed to be public domain. Whatever, doesn't matter. I'm reading it. Okay, and this has archaic words. It has archaic words in it. Okay? Okay? It has archaic. Do you not know what that means? Old words. Maybe not too archaic, but it has near dead words. Very old meaning of words in here. And so my stream was cut short last time. I was so mad. I could have tried again. Granted, I could have tried again, but I was not in the mood. Okay, it has words in here that are very old meaning. It's either the connection, like the weather, probably. It could be the weather. It could be the weather, just like, yeah, right? It could be the weather. But I'm dead serious. I highly doubt it could be me repeating one word over and over again. Okay? There should not be a problem here. There should not be a problem here. There are connect. I don't know. I can somehow reconnect. Let me see if it works. Hello, hello, testing. Okay, I've reconnected. By George, I think he's got it. By George, I think he's British. Okay, so I think that's something I can do from now on. That's interesting. Come on. Okay. For now, I'm just going to keep it right here. Okay, there. Set. Go. Let's go. Okay. Without further ado, we will read Will of the Mill, The Plane, and the Stars. We will continue this march. Hold on. I don't like how this is right here. We're going to put it right here. There we go. Okay, so you can see the time. There we go. Let's go. Let's continue. Hey, we're all here. Yeah, we're all happy. We're all fine. Fine and dandy. Now, this is a very long paragraph, so I'm just going to return at this point. No one in the valley ever heard of the fate of the expedition. for they lay out of the way of gossip in those troublous times. But Will saw one thing plainly, that not a man returned. Whither had they all gone? Whither went all the tourists and peddlers with strange wares? Whither all the stream? Whither all the brisk brushes with servants in the dicky, whither in the water of the stream, ever coursing and ever renewed from above? Even the wind blew oftener down the valley and carried the dead leaves along with it in the fall. It seemed like a great conspiracy of things, animate and inanimate. Shut up. Cut off. They all went downward, fleetly and gaily downward, and only he, it seemed, remained behind, like a stalk upon the wayside. It sometimes made him glad when he noticed how the fishes kept their heads upstream. They, at least, stood faithfully by him, while all else were posting downward to the unknown world. Checking stream, excellent. One evening he asked the miller where the river went. It goes down by the valley, answered he, and turns a power of mills. 6 score mills, they say. From here to Unterdeck. They say from here to Unterdeck, and it none the wearier after all. And then it goes out to the lowlands and waters the great corn country, and runs through a sight of fine cities, so they say, where kings live all alone in great palaces, with a sentry walking up and down before the door, and it goes under bridges with stone men upon them, looking down and smiling so curious at the water, and living folks leaning their elbows on the wall and looking over too. Hello to anyone that may be here. It could just be my views by the looks of it. Where am I? So curious at the water, and living folks leaning their elbows on the wall and looking over too. And then it goes on, and down through the marshes and sands until, at least, it falls into the sea, where the ships, all that bring parrots and tobacco from the Indies. Aye, it has a long trot before it as it goes singing over our weir. Bless its heart. And for Will. And what is the sea? And what is the sea? Asked Will. The sea, cried the miller. Lord help us all. It is the greatest thing God made. That is where all the water in the world runs down into a great salt lake. There it lies, as flat as my hand, and as innocent-like as a child, But they do say, when the wind blows, it gets up into water mountains bigger than any of ours, and swallows down great ships bigger than our mill, and makes such a roaring that you can hear it miles away upon the land. There are great fish in it, there are great fish in it 5 times bigger than a bull, and one old serpent as long as our river and as old as all the world, with whiskers like a man, and a crown of silver on their head. So I'm assuming he's referring to the giant squid. Will thought he'd never heard anything like this, and he kept on asking question after question about the world that lay away down the river, with all of its perils and marvels, until the old miller became quite interested himself, and at last took him by the hand and led him to the hilltop that overlooks the valley and the plain. The sun was near setting, and hung low down in a cloudless sky. Everything was defined and glorified in golden light. Will had never seen so great an expanse of country in his life. He stood and gazed with all his eyes. He could see the cities and the woods and the fields and the bright curves of the river, and far away to where the rim of the plain trenched along the shining heavens. Excuse me. And overmastering emotions seized upon the boy, soul and body. His heart beat so thickly that he could not breathe. The scene swam before his eyes. The sun seemed to wheel round and round, and throw off, as it turned, strange shapes which disappeared with the rapidity of thought, and were succeeded by others. Will covered his face with his hands, and burst into a violent fit of tears. And the poor miller, sadly disappointed and perplexed, saw nothing better for it than to take him up in his arms and carry him home in silence. From that day forward, Will was full of new hopes and longings. Something kept tugging at his heartstrings. The running water carried his desires along with it as he dreamed over its fleeting surface. The wind, as it ran over innumerable treetops, hailed him with encouraging words. Branches beckoned downward. The open road, as it shouldered around the angles, and went turning and vanishing fast and faster down the valley, tortured him with its solicitations. He spent long whiles on the immense, looking down the river shed and abroad on the fat lowlands, and watched the clouds that travelled forth upon the sluggish wind that trailed their purple shadows on the plain. Or he would linger by the wayside and follow the carriages with his eyes as they rattled downward by the river. It did not matter what it was. Everything that went that way, everything that went that way, where cloud or carriage, bird or brown water in the stream, he felt his heart flow out after it in iccacity of longing. In an iccacity of longing. Excuse me. We are told by men of science that all the ventures of mariners on the sea, all that counter-marching of tribes and races that confounds old history with its dust and rumor, sprang from nothing more abstruse than the... Well, we'll Google it. No, Daniel, shut up! Shut up. 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 Excellent data. Excellent data. Okay. Let's just get rid of this one. Excellent data. Okay, we're going 19 minutes in, and it's at 9:22. See, this feels like a Thanksgiving story. Like, not just in the sense of like, not just the sense of like, oh, I'm thankful for this. Oh, we eat a meal in front of everybody. I'm not talking about that type of Thanksgiving. I'm talking about like be thankful for what you have and whatnot. Be grateful for how the world works. Time goes, time passes, the world changes, and the world grows. We need to be thankful for what we have because it's constantly changing. Maybe not super constant, but like it's constantly changing in a slow. Yeah, it's constantly, but like in kind of in a slow pace in its own way. When it comes to the world changing constantly, it's not constant like me taking this pig and moving him around constantly and doing it every minute, every second, just doing, not that fast. The world is changing constantly, but not incomparable as me moving a pig around constantly. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. But anyways, this is like, it's telling us like the world is beautiful, and this story is telling us like the world is beautiful, and that like when you go and see the world, that was scrap, no? When you go and see the world, oh yeah, by the way, he's my co-host when he's not phoning around. When you go and see in the world and whatnot, and we go and see how doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay. Okay, I'm here. Hello. Okay, now, since I'm still here, I'm still alive. That should be an important part, right? Okay, now let's continue. Okay, so excellent stream. Excellent streaming service. And then it sounds supply and demand and natural instinct for cheap rations. Oh, I was going to Google the word abstruse. Abstruse. I pronounce it. I see. Thank you, Google. I also pronounce it correctly. Ha! Can you? Obtrusive than the laws of supply and demand, and with a certain natural instinct for cheap rations. To any one thinking deeply, this will seem a dull and pitiful explanation. The tribes that came swarming out of the north and east, if they were indeed pressed onward from behind the other, pressed onward from behind by others, were drawn at the same time by the magnetic influence of the south and west. The fame of the other lands had reached them. The name of the eternal city rang in the ears. They were not colonists, but pilgrims. They traveled towards wine and golden sunshine, but their hearts were set on something higher. That divine unrest, that old stinging trouble of humanity that makes all high achievements and all miserable failure, the same that spread wings with Icarus, the same that sent Columbus into the desolate Atlantic, inspired and supported these barbarians on their perilous march. There is one legend that profoundly represents their spirit. Of how a flying party of these wanderers encountered a very old man shod with iron. The old man asked them whither they were going, and they answered with one voice, "To the eternal city." He looked upon them gravely. "I have sought it," he said, "over the most part of the world. Three such pails as I now carry on my feet I worn out upon this pilgrimage, and now the fourth is growing slender underneath my steps. And all this while I have not found the city." And he turned and went his own way alone, leaving them astonished. Checking in time. Okay, good. And yet this would scarcely parallel the intensity of Will's feeling for the plane. If he could only go far enough out there, he felt as if his eyesight would be purged and clarified, and if this hearing would grow more delicate, and his very breath would come and go with luxury. He was transplanted in weathering where he was. He lay in a strange country, and he was sick for home. Bit by bit, he pieced together broken notions of the world below, of the river, ever moving and growing until it sailed forth into the majestic ocean, of the cities full of brisk and beautiful people, playing fountains, bands of music, and marble palaces. Checking the time, okay. And lighted up at the night from end to end with artificial stars of gold. He's describing the city, and this is the beautiful way of describing a city, in my opinion. Of the great churches, wise universities, brave armies, and untold money lying stored in vaults, of the high-flying vice that moved in the sunshine, and the stealth of swiftness of midnight murder. I have said he was sick as if for home. The figure halts. He was like someone lying in twilight, formless pre-existence, and stretching out his hands lovingly towards many-colored, many-sounding life. It was no wonder he was unhappy. He would go and tell the fish that they were made for their life, wish for more than worms and running water, and a hole below a falling bank. But he was definitely designed, full of desires and aspirations, itching at the fingers, lusting with the eyes, and whom the whole variegated world could not satisfy with aspects. The true life, the true bright sunshine lay far out upon the plain, and oh, to see this sunlight once before he died, to move with a jounced spirit in a golden land, to hear the trained, oh, this is interesting, to hear the trained singers and sweet church bells, and to see the holiday gardens. An old fish, an old fish, he would cry. If you would only turn your noses downstream, you could swim so easily into the fabled waters, and see the vast ships passing over your head like clouds, and hear the great water hills making music over you all day long. But the fish kept looking patiently in their own direction until Will hardly knew whether to laugh or cry. Hitherto, the traffic on the road had passed by Will like something seen in a picture. He had perhaps exchanged salutations with a tourist, or caught sight of an old gentleman in a travelling cap at a carriage window. But for the most part, it had been a mere symbol which he contemplated. Contemplate. Let me check the connection. It's all good. It's all good. Huh? Oh, it's all good. Excuse me. Cut over an old gentleman in the travelling cap at a carriage window, but for the most part it had been a mere symbol. Excuse me. Which he contemplated from apart and with something of a superstitious feeling. A time came at last when this was to be changed. The miller, who was a greedy man in his way, and never forwent an opportunity of honest profit, turned the mill house into a little wayside inn, and several pieces of good fortune falling in opportunity, built stables and got the position of postmaster on the road. It now became Will's duty to wait upon people as they sat to break their fasts in the little arbor. This one I do want to Google. Yeah. Arbor. That's not arbor. Let's try pronouncing that way. Arbor. Oops. Huh? Oh, shush. Arbor. Arbor. No, not Hubble. What? No. Arbor. That's not how you spell it. No, shut up. Bauer. Bauer. Search, you damn ditty. You just damn with something. I don't know. A sheltered area in a garden. Okay. Okay, it's okay. Search Google. Well, okay. Oh, there's different pronunciations for some reason. Search with Google. Define, you idiot. Okay. Arbor. Ha! Okay, that's how you put it. Arbor. Continuing. Oh, hello, if there's anyone that's here with us or here with me. There's Scrapnel. We're reading Will the Mill by Robert Louis Stevenson. The little arbor at the top of the mill garden, and you may be sure that he kept his ears open and learned many new things about the outside world as he brought the omelette or the wine. Ooh, omelette! Omelette! I want an omelette now. Nay, he would often get into conversation with single guests, and by adroit questions and polite attention, not only gratify his own curiosity, but win the goodwill of the travelers. Many complimented the old couple on the serving boy, and the professor was eager to take him away with him and have him properly educated in the plane. I'll have you properly know the Transformers is the best fandom there is. The miller and his wife were mightily astonished and even more pleased. They thought it a very good thing that they should have opened their inn. You'll see, the old man would remark, he has a kind of a talent for a publishing. Sorry. He never would have made anything else. And so life wagged on in the valley with high satisfaction to all concerned but Will. Every carriage that left the inn door seemed to take a part of him away with it. Excuse me. And when people jestingly offered him a lift, he could difficultly command his emotion. He could with difficulty command his emotion. Night after night, he would dream that he was awakened by flustered servants, and that a splendid equipage waited at the door to carry him down into the plain. Night after night, until the dream, which had seemed all jollity to him at first, began to take on a color of gravity, gravity, and the nocturnal summons of waiting equipage occupied a place in his mind as something to be both feared and hopeful for. We're 41 minutes in, and it's 9:44 p.m. EST. One day, when let me check if we can get to a stopping point, maybe. Yeah, we can end it over there in the other angle of the world page. Sorry, One day, when Will was about 16, a fat young man arrived at sunset to pass the night. He was he was a contented-looking fellow, with a jolly eye, and carried a knapsack. While dinner was preparing, he sat in the arbor to read a book. But as soon as he but as soon as he as soon as he had begun to observe Will, the book was laid aside. He was plainly one of those who prefer living. Uh, he was plainly one of those who prefer living people to people made of ink and paper. Will, on his part, although he had not been much interested in the stranger at first sight, soon began to take a great deal of pleasure in his talk, which was full of good nature and good sense, and at last conceived a great respect for his character and wisdom. 42 minutes, and we're still excellent, people, still excellent. They sat far into the night, and about 2 in the morning, Will opened his heart to the young man, and told him how he longed to leave the valley, and what bright hopes he had connected with the cities of the plain. The young man whistled, and then broke into a smile. My young friend, he remarked, you are you are a very curious little fellow, to be sure, and wish a great many things which you will never get. Why, you would feel quite ashamed if you knew how the little fellows in these fairy cities of yours are all after the same sort of nonsense, and kept breaking their hearts to get up into the mountains. And let me tell you, those who go down into the plains are a very short while there before they wish themselves heartily back again. The air is not so light nor so pure, nor is the sun any brighter. As for the beautiful men and women, you should see many of them in rags, and many of them in deformed with horrible disorders. And a city is so hard a place for people who are poor and sensitive that many choose to die by their own hand. You will die by my hand. Sorry, excuse me. You must think me very simple, answered Will. Although I have never been out of this valley, believe me, I have used my eyes. I know how one thing lives on another. For instance, how the fish hangs in the eddy to catch his fellows, and the shepherd who makes so pretty a picture carrying home the lamb. I want to make sure it's still the same page. So pretty a picture carrying home the lamb is only carrying it home for dinner. I do not expect to find all things right in your cities. That is not what troubles me. It might have been that once upon a time, but although I live here always, I have asked many questions and learned a great deal in these last years, and simply enough to cure me of my old fancies. But you would not have me die like a dog and not see all that is to be seen, and do all that a man can do, let it be good or evil? You would not have me spend all my days between this road here and the river, and not so much as make a motion to be up and live my life? I would rather die out of hand, he cried, than linger on as I am doing. Thousands of people, said the young man, live and die like you, and are none less happy. He's me! This guy is me! Okay, I kid. Ah, said Will. If there are thousands who would die, if there are thousands who would like, if there are thousands who would like, why should not one of them have my place? It was quite dark. There was a hanging lamp in the arbor which lit up the table and the faces of the speakers, and along the arch, the leaves upon the trellis stood out illuminated against the night sky, a pattern of transparent green upon a dusky purple. The fat young man rose and, taking Will by the arm, and led him out under the open heavens. Did you ever look at the stars? Do you like stars? Excuse me. Sorry. I saw that meme once and I was like, yeah. And it quickly died. that meme quickly died. It's unfortunate. It's a nice meme. Did you ever look at the stars? He asked, pointing upwards. Often and often, answered Will. And do you know what they are? I have fancied many things. They are worlds like ours, said the young man. Some of them less, many of them a million times greater, and some of the least sparkles that you see are not only worlds, but whole clusters of worlds turning about each other in the midst of space. We do not know what there may be in any of them. Perhaps perhaps the answer to all our difficulties, or the cure of all our sufferings, and yet we can never reach them. Not all of the skill of the craftiest men can fit out a ship for the nearest of these our neighbors, nor would the life of the most aged suffice for such a journey. When a great battle has been lost, or a dear friend is dead, when we are hit in our high spirits, there they are weirdly shining overhead. We may stand down here, a whole army of us together, and shout until we break our hearts, and not a whisper reaches them. We may climb the highest mountain, and we are no nearer them. All we can do is stand down here in the garden and take off our hats. The starshine lights upon our heads, and where mine is a little bold, I dare say you can see it glisten in the darkness. The mountain and the mouse. That is like to be all we shall ever have to do with Arcturus or Aldebaran. Arcturus or Aldebaran. I I think those are places. I will Google them later. Actually, give me a second. I'll Google them now. Spite. Just spite you. Despite me. Despite you too. Art. No. Art. Arcturus. It's the name of the star. Do with Arcturus or Aldebaran. Arcturus. It's a red giant star that's the brightest star in the constellation Bootes, and the fourth bright star in the night sky. Netherland! Okay, Arcturus. And what's the other one? Aldebaran. It's another star. Oh, the Orion Belt, the reddish giant star in the constellation Taurus. Interesting. Did not know that. And then again, I don't look up stars. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's interesting. 9:54, and we are in 51 minutes in. We're a few minutes behind the hour. Excuse me, stretching, sorry. Excuse me. Can you apply a parable? He added, laying his hand upon Will's shoulder. It is not the same thing as a reason, but usually vastly more convincing. Will hung his head a little, then raised it once more to heaven, the sky, the stars. Not actual heaven, like, oh, heaven, oh, but space, out of space. The stars seemed to expand and emit a sharper brilliancy, and as he kept turning his eyes higher and higher, they seemed to increase in multitude under his gaze. I see, he said, turning to the young men. We are in a rat trap. Something of that size. Did you ever see a squirrel turning in a cage and another squirrel sitting philosophically over his nuts? I needn't ask you which of them looked more of a fool. Which of them looked more of a fool there? Woo! This is the Thanksgiving message. I did not plan this, to be honest. I thought it was going to be some other type of story. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read the next paragraph, and then we're going to end it here. But that is basically the Thanksgiving message. No matter how big this world is, right? No matter I want to go to this place or that place. And sometimes if you just can't go somewhere, right? Be grateful where you live. We can't go to the stars. Not currently. We can't currently go out to the stars. Even if we did, and even if we continue going out into vast places in different areas of the world or different areas of the heavens, we haven't fully explored our planet. Of all the caves that we've explored, right, there are still many more caves and many more depths of the underground that we can explore. We haven't explored all the caves because A, probably too dangerous to climb, and B, probably because we don't know where all of them are. And so when we have the right technology to help us climb those caves, we could probably venture anywhere in the caves. And also the distance, the caves are like mazes from what I've heard. That sometimes you're like, we can go down to certain levels, but then going through here and there and whatnot, you would have to basically dig up the earth. Or whatever. We have not explored the ocean. We have not explored the vast of the ocean. NASA stopped exploring the ocean. I don't know why per se. I guess because they prioritize space at the time. Like, hey, we should go out in space. We should have a space race. I think that's what ended up happening. Let's try to go to the moon. And so they got the best scientists and went out to the moon. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, the moon landing's fake." No, it's not. There's a lot of things, a lot of points that I could go on to about the moon landing, whatnot. Like, oh, what about certain pictures or certain angles of shadows? You could still mimic those shadows here. You could still do half of what you can do. What they did on the moon, you can still do half of that stuff here on the moon. And the moon itself has a day and night cycle. We have a day and night cycle. And all that other stuff. There's a whole lot of like topics, but I feel like it's going to go into the weeds a bit. But and then plus I'm not a moon scientist. Whatever. That's a different subject for a different day. I'm not gonna be the one to debunk that. But anyways, even we haven't yet fully discovered the ocean. We don't know all the creatures that live there. We're still finding new creatures. This is in the ocean. We're still finding new creatures on land. We haven't discovered all of the land, right? There are islands that we have not been to, apparently. We have not been to every single island. We have not been to every part of the forest or covered every inch of the forest. We still have yet to discover everything about the Earth. So even if we do eventually go out to Mars, Venus, or wherever, even if we do go out to like planet X, Y, and Z, right? Maybe if we somehow land on Jupiter, right? Turn off the storm, turn off Jupiter's infinite storm. It's slowly dying, by the way, from what I've heard. The storm is slowly like stopping. Apparently, Jupiter's storm. Anyways, we're gonna continue reading the Parsons Majority. I'm not gonna change the title to fit the title of the chapter, because it's a short story, so it's not like I have to do that. If it was a longer story, I would take longer breaks, longer pauses. Now, technically speaking, The Artificer is also a short story, but I want to give it more time and attention. And anyways, continuing, the Parsons Majority. After some years of the old people died, both in one winter, very carefully tended by their adopted son, and very quietly mourned when they were gone. People who had heard of his roving fancies supposed he would hasten to sell the property and go down the river to push his fortunes. But there were never any signs of such intention on the part of Will. On the contrary, he had the inn set on a better footing and hired a couple of servants to assist him in carrying it on. And there he settled down, a kind, talkative, inscrutable young man, a 6'3" in his stockings, with an iron constitution and a friendly voice. He soon began to take rank in the district as a bit of an oddity. It was not much to be wondered at from the first, for he was always full of notions, and kept calling the plainest common sense in question. But what most raised the report upon him was the odd circumstances of his courtship with the Parsons Majority. Parsons Majority. So apparently there has to be something with the Parsons Majority. Okay, so next time we will continue reading the Parsons Majority within the Will the Mill. but I'll have to end this stream here. We'll probably continue this tomorrow, Friday, or Saturday. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a nice Black Friday tomorrow. Be careful shopping. You don't have to go out there and shop, but if you're going to go out there and shop and get those gifts and whatnot, take your time, or be careful and stay safe. Do it legally. Take those gifts legally, and purchase them. Don't attack somebody. If somebody else gets it, oh well. There's always next year, or the next time you get a deal. There's also Cyber Monday. So don't forget about Cyber Monday, people. Oh, okay. But happy Thanksgiving. I feel like that's a great Thanksgiving message to everyone that should listen. People should read. I'm just saying, people should just read the old stuff. They teach us. They still have current message to this day, morals and whatnot. Now, if you don't want to read the Bible, just read old stories, old books and whatnot. They have great wisdom in them. We should not be discouraged. We should not just oh hey, pretty thing, or oh hey, I want to go to the city, never see this place again. Sometimes being at home is the greatest thing. If you miss out on the beauty of your home, you'll be fooled by the beauty of the city. And this goes in the reverse sense as well. I feel like if you live in the city, right? Go to your old region. Sorry, there's no hope for you in the city. Leave the cities now. Leave the cities now. No, I feel like if you live in cities, right? There's still, I'm pretty sure there's a reason to live there. Can't help you there. I'm a little biased. I live down here in the rural, suburban. Sorry, I live in the suburban area. I'm grateful to live here in the suburban areas. If I were to move to somewhere else, it would be another suburban area or a rural area. I don't know. It would not be a city. Me personally, I would not go into a city. But if I would have to go to a city, I'll type it down in the comment section below. What city? Actually, no. I'll just go to the city that's near me, Atlanta or Athens, to the uptown Athens. It's a small town. It's kind of a city, but it's not a suburban. Well, sort of. It's a suburban town, I guess. Okay. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. We are gifted to be in the places that we are in, right? We can explore if we want to, but sometimes there's no other place like home, just like in the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home for the holidays. I have to end it up here soon, but that's it. That's the end of the stream. See y'all soon in the next episode or the next live stream, whatever. Please leave a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification, and see y'all soon. Bye-bye. That's not what I want to hit. Bye-bye. In the stream. Mouse, in the stream. Bye.